Hi everyone, it's just me, it's just Dayon, and I want to try something new. I was listening to one of my favorite YouTubers, and I was asking him how he got his start because he's growing pretty quickly. And on one of his live streams, he said, "Just upload something every day." You know, that was basically his home. His takeaway was just upload stuff a lot and often. And well, I don't know if I'll be able to do quite that, but I did want to do something to sort of pad out the wait between the different podcast episodes, especially because 2 weeks seems like a long time to wait for a podcast, even if you like us. But here's what we're going to talk about. Okay, so everyone is aware of the Vulpera and how they're a new race coming in Battle for Azeroth, particularly around Zuldazar, I think. I didn't fact check that. I prepared all these tabs, but I didn't fact check that. But that's not really important. So as soon as these guys got released, it's been hotly requested by players that these guys would end up as an allied race. And, I gotta admit, I don't hate the idea. I just don't think it's happening anytime soon. If they follow the trend with the High Mountain Tauren and the Nightborn and the Lightforged Draenei, we're gonna spend the entire expansion pack with these guys before they're even a candidate for allied race. I think the other guys are just out of relevancy. They're new, they're fresh, players still remember them. And I was talking to a friend, and we think the same thing is going to happen to the Brown Orcs. I want them to be Magar from BC, from Outland, but it's looking more and more likely like they're going to be the alternate universe, timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly orcs, because more players have probably started playing around the time Warlords of Draenor was current than around the time when Burning Crusade was current, and nobody likes to quest through BC. So even new players probably aren't going through there and checking them out. So anyway, that's not why I'm making this video. I'm making this video because as I've been cruising the forums, as I do, I ran into a forum, a hype train thread about the Vulpera and why people are very excited. It's fine that people are excited, but I think they're taking the wrong message away. They're getting really excited about a couple of things regarding the Vulpera, particularly a fact, even though, okay, this is a bad image. I chose this image because this is a pretty prominent Vulpera character, but the Vulpera do have tails. Despite this, they have tails. And we're going to, we'll go to the dressing room, and we'll take a look at them. So the Vulpera are already in the dressing room in Wowhead, and I think, well, that's not really suggestive of anything. There's a bunch of races in the dressing room that aren't available as playable races, like the Broken, like Ice Trolls, Northrend Skeletons, Tonka, all that stuff. Then humans and Kulturian humans too, but that's still not suggestive of anything yet. So a couple of the points that people have been raising as suggestion that the Vulpera are definitely going to be added as an allied race, if not now, but soon, are the quality of their animations. Most of the fact that these guys have tails, and have very modern facial rigging animation. So why is that significant? Well, it's significant because the Vulpera are very heavily based off of the Goblin model. It's like all the other allied races are all based off of an existing model. Nightborn and Zandalari are based off of the Night Elves, the Void Elves are based off of the Blood Elves, and so on and so forth. It's pretty easy to tell. The suggestion, of course, is Vulpera are based off of the Goblin models. And of course they are. What else could they be? They're short, they're about the same size as the Goblins, and they can't be gnomes because their limb lengths are about the same. They don't have baby arms and baby legs. This is a short creature, but those are adult legs and thighs. So the anatomy is spot on. It seems to look like they're based off of the Goblin model. Pretty evident. But I'm getting somewhere with this. This is not the first time a tailed race has been based off of the skeleton and animations of a race that did not have a tail. The same people who are requesting Vulpera are probably the same people who are upset that the Worgen do not have tails. Any furry jokes you want to make have already been made. I'm not going to go there. Let's take a look at the Worgen model, though. And as you can see, no tail. And then there's a race based off of the Worgen model that does have a tail. They're called the Saberon. The Saberon's got a lot of animations, but if you needed any more proof that these guys were the Worgen have a very unique animation, which puts them in a stockade. You can see it in Gilneas. In stocks. I know it's in here. There we go. The working get put into stocks. It's part of the quest experience when you unlock these guys. It's pretty dope. And I'll always commend Blizzard on intelligently reusing their assets. Just because this animation is specific to the Worgen doesn't mean they're not going to use it elsewhere. Oh, I don't know what happened there. There's a Saberon in Vol'jin's Pride in Talador who's locked up in the stocks too, and because of that, you know that they also have the same animation. So, let's review. Saberon are based off of the Worgen. They have tails. I will admit, it's a pretty stiffly animated tail. Oops, that's not what I needed. Damn. But it's animated nonetheless. And if it was something that they... Not there. Animated... It's light animation, I'll admit, but it's still an animation. There you go, see? Swish, swish, back and forth. Maybe the Worgen originally had tails, and then last minute they decided to get rid of those tails. Aha! Another theory for another time, but... So we know that just because the Vulpera have tails and the goblins do not, does not suggest that that is a significant marker for anything other than this is just a race that needs tails. It's a very nice and fluffy tail, I won't lie. It moves with a lot of their animations. It's pretty dope, I will say. There's one, the crossbow animation was pretty good too. There we go. There we go. There's some actual recoil to it. So it's a very nice looking model, but I don't think it suggests that any of the technology here suggests that they're going to be a allied race. And here's my theory. The animations that we're seeing on the Vulpera, up to and including the facial rigging animations, are the models that are the animations that we're going to see on the male and female goblin. This is a partially completed male and female goblin model asset that we're looking at right now. But wait, male and female goblins aren't added to the game yet. No, I know that. But here's the thing: they're not. If this is really a race that's based off of the goblin model, and it obviously is, they're not gonna slap these guys with the old shit when they give the goblins the new hot shit. But the reason that I believe the animations that we see for the Vulpera and the rigging and the facial animations that we see for the Vulpera are actually the facial animation riggings and overall animations for the Goblin are because this is not the first time that new models have predated the release of an expansion. Okay, I'm going to take you back to 5.4 when Siege of Orgrimmar was released. It was noticed very quickly, very quickly, the Garrosh Hellscream model had an updated new hotness model. It had facial animations like nothing else had. It had expressions that nothing else had. It had updated animations for everything. It was dope. There was a video that famously played. I think it might have even been Wowhead that made this video of Garrosh Hellscream dancing in Pandaria. It was either the Temple of the Two Moons or Temple of the Seven Stars, but showing off all the animations. And I remember noting how happy the orc looked while he danced. It was pretty wicked. And so players pretty quickly put two to two together. They're like, oh man, is this going to be a new orc model? And this was when new models had been promised for Mists of Pandaria, but didn't make the deadline, so they were ultimately scrapped. And it hadn't officially been announced that new models were coming yet. But Blizzard was coy about it. They were like, ooh, I don't know, are these going to be new models? Ooh, well, do you like them? They were cute. It was coy. It was pretty obvious. And then Warlords of Draenor, they were finally announced as the kind of feature that everyone knew was coming for all the races, which was dope. Chris Robinson had a bunch of great, World of Artcraft blog posts that showcased them all. But anyway, here's the important thing to note about the time between Siege of Orgrimmar and the time between the release of Warlords of Draenor. Siege of Orgrimmar is a raid patch of World of Warcraft Mists of Pandaria and focuses on the Siege of Orgrimmar, and it was released here, the 10th of September 2013. I can't believe it's already been almost 5 years. That's insane. Anyway, the takeaway, once you consider how much time passes between then and Warlords of Draenor, which is November 13th, 2014, that's a year, 2 months, and change. That means you can deduce at the very least, because orc male animations were on the Garrosh model at the release of Siege of Orgrimmar, that orc male animations were finished at a time measuring a year, 2 months, and change from the actual release. Now, you could say that the rest of that time was spent on the other races, and it's probably part of the reason why the Blood Elves got delayed, and that's fine. You're probably right. But the only two model updates that are being, the only two races getting model updates for Battle for Azeroth are Goblin, Worgens, male and female. The 4 models is quite a different slice of pie than the 10 that were 10 races, and then 20 different models of each race that were coming beforehand. And so, Battle for Azeroth was announced at BlizzCon 2017 in November. And after the pre-order was available for purchase, with time saying that the expansion is expected to be on or before September 21st, 2018, that is a new timeline for us. And that's a timeline we can deduce to be only about, I want to say, 10 months. Only 10 months. I gotta count my fingers real quick. October, November, December, and then 10, 11 months. Depends on how you slice it. No, I'm just right. November, December, yeah, 10 months. 11. Less than a year and 2 months. God, I sound like a complete idiot. 10 months, 11 months, that's how long it is between the announcement for Battle for Azeroth, where we saw the Vulpera for the first time, and the expected release of the expansion. Therefore, I posit to you, the listener, that the animation that we see on the Vulpera, male and female, are the animations that we're going to see on the updated male and female goblin models. And that includes not just their poses, but their facial rigging. And there's one little tiny chink in that argument, and that is a unique property of the face of the Vulpera. Things that they have that goblins are not going to have. And let me put this lady into a stand. Alright. Goblins do not have snouts. They have really big ears, but they do not have snouts. So it's reasonable to conclude that part of the facial animation rigging that is unique to the Vulpera are going to be in the snouts. But if that's the only thing that's different between the goblins and the Vulpera, I don't think it's a tall order for the asset team at Blizzard to construct a different set of snout animations. So now, it's a suggestion that Vulpera are going to be a playable race. It's going to come down to the fact that they have unique snout animations. And I don't think that's enough to suggest that the Vulpera are going to be an allied race. A couple other things to consider, though, too, is that Vulpera have been classified as a player character race in the data files, but there's a reason for that, and Blizzard has expounded on that. And we're going to come here. Community manager Ornix has posted, as we mentioned when race information for the Lightforged Draenei and Void Elves was data mined during development of patch 7.3, we found that setting up a certain race as though they were player characters can be highly advantageous for NPC customization in story content. While those races did become allied races later, we still intend to use this approach for non-playable races. Please don't take race being data mined in this way as an indication that it'll become playable in the near future. Smiley face. This guy is asking us not to get ahead of ourselves, and it's not really the same response as the people who were replying to the speculation that the garage model was going to be indicative of the new orc model, because they were saying things like, "Oh, I don't know." They were being coy, and they were asking for feedback. They were just like, "Oh, well, what do you think of the models? Do you like it?" This guy is not being coy. He is just making a plea for everyone to have a clear head, and here's why. Blizzard has been very good about the way the NPCs look, and the way the player characters look. Since vanilla in BC, the most complex that armor got at all was in the helmets and the shoulders, and you had a couple different shapes for gloves and boots, but not a lot. In Wrath of the Lich King, we got WWE belts and big old clod stompers, and that was... Oh, and then we also got layered pants. That's about it. And then, for the longest time, that's about all we got, with more complex art assets, more complex shoulder and head sculpts, and then, in Legion, they started adding 3D model assets. It's been dope. Oh, and at some point, they also added, like, hanging assets onto shoulders and belts and all that cool stuff, and that was in World of Draenor. That was pretty dope, too, but... We haven't seen armor in the scale that we've seen it, until Legion, where there's 3D assets on knuckles, 3D assets on necks, 3D assets on really everything. Just take a look at any of the most recent tier armors, and you can see what I'm talking about. I'm not going to hunt any of them down specifically to make a point, because they're not really related. Blizzard continues to improve on how they deliver character models, whether or not they're player characters or they're NPCs. And it is, I think, the one aspect of Blizzard's assets teams that have consistently improved and have always improved with every expansion and just continue to get better and better and better. And to do that, sometimes you need to think outside of a concept called functional fixatedness. Functional fixatedness is an idea that an object can only be used for its intended purpose. Now, the idea that a hammer can only be used to pound nails, a ruler can only be used to draw straight lines, and that sort of thing. Well, Blizzard had these data files that allowed them to, that they reserved for player characters for levels of customization that they wanted to give to the player characters over the NPC models. Makes sense. They're more important models. They're something the players are going to be looking at the entire time, so setting them aside does kind of make sense from just a pipeline and hierarchical standpoint. But as Ornix is saying, they determined that, hey, if we just use this NPC, if we mark them as a player character, we get a lot more customization options out of this race, and we can do a lot more with those models. So Blizzard is thinking outside the box. They're breaking the mold of the functional fixatedness, and they're sort of retroactively refitting some of their database structures for new purposes. Because Blizzard's art asset team is astounding, and they always get better, and I wouldn't be surprised if this became just an entirely new subset, and there was no longer a distinction between player character models and NPC models because of just what they can do with both. So some people are saying that, oh, you can't really trust the blue dev because, they're not going to give away the ghost before they intend to. If they were going to be an allied race, I don't understand what the point is for Ornix to come out and say, hey, man, to sort of make a plea for cooler heads to prevail. If they had no problem with players speculating that, this guy wouldn't have come out and said anything. But then players were more ravenously looking for confirmation, and I guess they were loud enough that Blizzard thought it was worth mentioning. Anyway, I don't think Ornix is hiding anything. I don't think he's obfuscating anything. I don't think he's being coy. I think when he says, please don't take a race being data mined in this way as indication it'll become playable in the future, I think it's something we should listen to. And I'm willing to. So, to recap, here's the deal. People suggest that based upon the nature and the complexity and the modernity of facial rigging animations on the Vulpera, in addition to their new fluffy tail, that they are definitely going to be an allied race. My theory is, no, the animations and the facial rigging that you see, 90% belong to the goblin models that are already a work in progress. And, I'm just talking about the animations are the goblin models. Obviously, they still probably have to work on textures, customization revamps, and everything that they had to do for the player characters. Bear in mind, when I brought up the Garrosh model, I wasn't saying orc models are complete. I was saying orc male animations are complete. In the case of the Vulpera, I think Goblin male and female animations are mostly complete. And I say mostly because there are still some kind of broken animations on the Vulpera. I noticed, in particularly for the male Vulpera, their roar is borked. Their mouth doesn't even open. Clearly, the Vulpera are still a work in progress, and this is a game that's not out yet for 7 months. So obviously, this is not a finished model. Very close, looking very good, but not finished. And these are Goblin animations that we're looking at. These are not unique to the Vulpera, except for maybe the snouts and parts of the ear. Goblins got big ears, dudes. I mean, let's see. What do they got? See, the face is nothing. The face is just textures. Snout, 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 snout. Ear shape. Yeah, I'm calling it. These are going to be heavily based off Goblin ears. They just have extra little bits at the end. Yeah, we're looking at Goblin ears. Yeah, so, again, recapping. The unique and high-tech animations or ringing that we see on the Vulpera are not, in fact, Vulpera animations. They are Goblin animations. With the exception of the snout. And I'm going to go ahead and say that for Blizzard's 3D modelers, taking the Goblin rigging and animations and putting a snout on it instead, not a tall order. Not a tall order, and it wouldn't take that much time. People saying that they wouldn't have wasted time with the facial animations if they weren't going to be animated. Again, we're looking at Goblin animations with a unique Vulpera asset with the snout. That's about it. That's what I think we're dealing with. And because of that, I think we can get some insight on how soon we can get Goblin models into the game. If their animations are already complete 7 months before the launch, man, I bet you we're going to see them... they didn't say we're going to get them at launch, but maybe. It'll probably be like 8.1 or something like that. It'll probably be held off so they can have something to put in a content patch. Hopefully it won't be a bare bones patch like the selfie cam patch in WAD, but it'll be a patch. It won't be. Yeah, I'm going to call it here. It's not going to be on launch. It'll be 8.1 that we get Goblin and Worgen models. That's just my theory. So, yeah. That's what I think we're looking at. And those are my thoughts. And, yeah. Okay, so, back where we started. Come on, there we go. So, I like doing videos like this. This was kind of fun. First time I did a video like this, I actually wasn't getting audio on it, and I had to re-record it. So this is the second take of that video. But if you like this video, tell me what you think. Leave a comment. Like the video. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. Hit the bell for notifications. I might do more hot take videos like this just so that we can pad out the drought between bi-weekly release of a podcast video. The next podcast video is going to be on the High Mountain, the Nightborn, and the Lightforge allied races, which is sort of going to be like the quote-unquote sequel to the Void Elf video, which was our debut video, which I thought was a lot of fun. I'm looking for people to come on who play those races or intend to main as those races or are very close to those races. So I got a friend coming on who's going to talk and hype up the High Mountain. I got a friend coming on who's going to talk and hype up the Nightborn. And I'm looking for somebody who either plays as a Draenei now or is going to play as a Lightforge Draenei or is very much into the Draenei lore and stuff to come on and hype up the Lightforge Draenei. So I'm still looking for that guy. But yeah, we're probably going to record that next weekend. And I'll probably do a couple more hot takes like this. And I might take funny bits out of the recordings that we do and make videos on those too. Anyway, again, if you like this video, tell me what you thought. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell notification. And yeah, Hope you enjoyed. I don't know if I'm gonna have a name for this kind of video. Maybe something. Yeah, it'll come to me, and maybe I'll do more hot takes like this. Flint and Tinders for the bonfire theme. I don't know. We'll see. It feels kind of forced. Anyway, have a good rest of your night, guys. Thanks for stopping by. Take care.